Guns, guns, and lots of guns. What exactly do they do in Borderlands 3? And what abilities do they have? Recently, I've seen that people were invited to Sydney to play a pre-release demo of the game, and it's looking better and better the more I see, but when you see Borderlands, all you can think of is the weapons in the game, what the manufacturers are producing, and what sort of abilities the guns have. So I've done some digging around, and I found out some pretty cool info. This info comes from two different sites, PCGamer and PCGamesN.com. Both article links are in the description if you want to check them out. Starting with PC Gamer, they've spoken about guns they got to try in a demo of the game, and specifically what they do, and then PC Games N have spoken more about the general abilities and what you can expect to see from certain manufacturers. A lot of sites have claimed this is every manufacturer in the game, but I'm not 100% sure if that's completely accurate. There is also boss specific loot that could be completely different, and we won't know until we get our hands on the game. September the 13th is the release date for those of you unsure. So, starting with 4 weapons the guys over at PC Gamer had hands on with. The Smart Gun XXL. This was the main unique weapon of the demo they played, that was tailored specifically for the demo, and is actually separate from the procedural generation of the game. It's an SMG, which isn't normally a popular choice, but this SMG has a very high elemental damage stat, dealing acid damage to your enemies and doing it often. The thing that made it unique, however, was the reload effect. It's a TDR weapon, so something cool always happens when you reload. And with this SMG, it has a reference in its design to the boss you kill to earn the gun from, and that's when you reload and throw it, the gun actually transforms into a brain with eyes that walks around on mechanical legs and scurries to enemies before it detonates into an explosion of acid. Next up, we have the Gettelberger. This is a rocket launcher type gun that, as the name kind of suggests, actually fires hamburgers. Apparently they don't fire, they kind of fall out of the launcher with a side of enthusiasm. The burgers aren't made like the ones we eat though, they're made of irradiated bugs, so if you fancy trying one, you do that at your own risk. It's a big one of those don't try this at home situations. This is a reward gun for completing a quest that requires the killing of a mercenary wearing a crown that wishes to contend your ownership of a burger delivery bot. I mean, there's a lot of weird crazy stuff in this game, but that's kind of next level mental. The third out of the 4 is the Unlimited Everblast Plus. It's a non-elemental shotgun that for whatever reason has an assault rifle scope/sight, and it apparently has completely and utterly ridiculous range with incredibly low bullet spread. This shotgun has the power to splatter heads from halfway across the area you're in, but what makes it stand out even more, maybe the fact it's again a TDR production, so you can throw it at enemies when you reload, but I believe this has the basic explosion upon impact, nothing too out of the ordinary like bouncy exploding balls or anything like that. The last of the 4 is the Malibu Particle Rifle. I don't know if I've pronounced that properly, but this fires 3 shots in rapid succession and has a little bit of recoil behind each shot, so there will be some counter recoil, which is apparently quite tough using analog sticks on a controller. But it has a shock setting which is good for depleting shields, and then you can switch it to a radiation setting which will cause a chain reaction and actually explode enemies. Even with it being modelled as a long range weapon, it does quite well at close range, and when you're point blank, recoil pretty much will not matter. Now we're done with specific guns, I'd like to talk about the manufacturers of the game and their typical weapon abilities, so what you can expect when you find a gun from each manufacturer, although there will be variants of the abilities. Pictures of a few guns from each manufacturer will be on screen as I'm talking about them, and credit goes to PC Games N for the pictures, as well as the description. Starting with Jacobs, these weapons will have a ricochet effect not just off walls, but enemies too, and these weapons will mainly be used to deal high health damage to enemies, with low shield depletion amounts, and looking at the 4 guns you can tell they're going to pack a nice punch. Jacobs were originally known for their combat shotguns, revolvers and pump-action snipers, but it's a new game with a lot of guns, so maybe something new will come to the table. Next we have Atlas. The first step with these guns is to set tracker tags on your enemies. Then you get smart bullets that bend around walls, over cover, and other surfaces and objects to wreck your target like something out of the film Wanted. This manufacturer is known for their godlike weapons in power and fire rate without sacrificing mag capacity and reload speed. Smart bullets will obviously be accurate, but how deadly will they be? We will find out on the 13th of September, and it's starting to sound like I'm doing some movie intro or something like that, the amount of times I've mentioned the release date. Then we have Tediore. This is possibly the most known manufacturer in the game, and franchise for that matter, as they're known for their explode on impact grenade-like guns in Borderlands 2. They make all sorts of weapons, and since they've upgraded their abilities upon impact, it's a crazy thought as to what these guns are going to do. We know about guns with legs and bouncy exploding balls, but with them making all sorts of gun types ranging from SMGs to pistols, shotguns and even combat rifles, I think there will be some things they can do that is currently unknown, but I look forward to getting my hands on them. Hyperion is next, and these guns have built-in shields for you to take extra damage behind your gun-produced cover, and also the accuracy of the weapons will increase the longer you keep your finger on the trigger. This manufacturer has made plenty of different gun types that were more common to find in Borderlands 2 than they were in the first installment, and they're also known to have more damage and better accuracy when compared to guns of similar levels. Dul make the guns that have alt-fire modes, and we've seen how overkill these look, with an AR originally shooting 3 rounds per shot, and the alt-fire mode firing 7 rounds instead. 7 rounds heading towards enemies at exactly the same time from one trigger pull seems a little bit on the over-the-top side of the spectrum. These guns are good for different playstyles, the situation you're in, and if you want to deal some bonus damage, because if I remember correctly, we saw a pistol that fired normal rounds and then switched to grenades or something like that. It might even be the pistol in the picture you can see now. Again, producing many weapon types, Dul were known in the original Borderlands game for apparently being the largest weapon manufacturer on Pandora. So we don't know if that's still the case, but they were always capable of landing multiple accurate shots in a small amount of time. So quick and steady guns with alt fire modes, check. Vladov. These guns look really badass, and they're rapid firing, ammo hungry guns that come with underbarrel attachments including tasers, rocket tubes and even extra gun barrels. These attachments will add even more RNG into the loot rolls, making for more variants, meaning more guns to drop. This manufacturer has been around a lot, Borderlands 1, 2 and the pre-sequel, so it's no surprise seeing them back in number 3, and hopefully this time round with the same really high rates of fire but a little bit more accurate. Up next we have Torg, and this manufacturer produces weapons that have the ability to switch up to sticky projectile fire modes that deal extra damage if multiple stickies detonate on the same enemy. The description of them doing that, the mention of them sounding like primer detonator type weapons, and the size of the guns screams Anthem's javelins carrying these around if the devs ever did anything cool to that game. Honestly, looking back through this, new drinking game for everyone. Take a shot whenever I say the word manufacturer. If you're not 100% drunk by the end of this video, well done, buy yourself a Mars bar. You thoroughly deserve it. These guns are more well-rounded, they don't normally excel in one area like Hyperion weapons and their accuracy. In Borderlands 2, their defining feature was explosive bullets, and if they haven't overhauled their designs then we can expect some very sticky explosions. Do not take that out of context. The penultimate are the Malibu guns, and these ones can toggle between different elements. You can charge the weapon and deal extra damage with your finger glued to the trigger. Incendiary, shock, corrosive and explosive damage are known to come from these weapons, but at the same time, the manufacturer is known to only make guns with elemental tech and shields too, but the guns normally lack in base firepower because of the ability to burn your enemies and do different elemental damage. I like elemental stuff, so I'm ready to get my hands on some of these beastly looking weapons. The final is Children of the Vault, and these weapons look crazy in the picture and they have a quote-unquote infinite amount of ammo, meaning you'll have uninterrupted damage dealing fun, but not completely uninterrupted, as these guns will have the occasional unpredictable overheating phases. This is actually a brand new manufacturer in Borderlands 3, and by the looks of the guns in the picture, they're going to be an absolute blast to use. That is going to be the end of the video. All of the manufacturers are from older installments of the franchise besides Children of the Vault, but they've upgraded their tech, they've tweaked their guns, and they're ready to make some crazy shit happen before the end of 2019. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Manufacturer, 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 and if you haven't passed out from the shots, then it's a pat on the back as well as a Mars bar. But with all jokes aside, it's going to be interesting seeing some of the different guns in the game and exactly how they work, without just reading a basic description and thinking they're all going to be godly. I'll see you soon with more Borderlands 3. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.